welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make my lemon cooler cookies. I'm also going to show you how to make a cherry cooler. They're made exactly the same, so I'll show you what those look like at the end along with the lemon coolers. So these cookies are a cookie I've been making for a number of years. Usually I put them in goodie bags for Christmas time, and they've always been a huge hit. So, but they're good any time of year, not just for Christmas. So I hope you enjoy. I'm going to change the camera around so you can see better what I'm doing in my mixer bowl since it's not see-through, and we'll get started. All right, so we're going to get started with just mixing up our dry ingredients first. So in my sifter, I have 1.5 cups of cake flour. I have a pinch of salt and a 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So I'm just going to sift that together. That will also just kind of mix it together too, so I don't have to do that. And then we're also, when I got just a little bit left, I am going to use a pack of lemonade Kool-Aid. And I'm just going to put a 1/2 teaspoon into my dry mixture. So just scoop out a 1/2 teaspoon, dump it in there. Set that over to the side because we will use the rest of it here in a minute. There we go. Okay. So we're just going to set that aside, and in our stand mixer, I've got 1/3 cup of shortening, so that's going to go in. And then 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. And then we're also going to add 1/2 cup of regular granulated sugar. Okay. And then we're going to use the paddle attachment. And we're just going to, on low, just mix this up just till it's mixed, and then we'll turn it up to medium for about a minute. Okay, so I've mixed this up, and you can kind of see how it's just all mixed there. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to add 1 large egg, a whole egg. And then I'm going to mix that a little bit longer on medium. And when I say medium, that's about a number 4 on the KitchenAid mixer. So if you have a KitchenAid and you're not sure, that's where I'm at. So, all right, so you can kind of see that it's mixed up nicely. So now I'm going to add the dry ingredients that we've already mixed. So, and I'm going to add, I'm not going to just dump it all in, I'm just going to add a little bit at a time. And I'm just going to have it on kind of a low speed. So about a 1. Just letting this get mostly mixed in before I add the next bit of dry ingredients. And that's really just to kind of keep it from getting clumped up and making sure that it gets incorporated well. So we're pretty good, so I'm just going to dump the rest of that in there. And then you can tell, I'll show you here, you can tell that it looks pretty dry. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of water. So like that. I'm just going to kick it up. It doesn't take much. So now you can see that it's fairly thick, like most cookie doughs should be. So that's where we want it to be. So let's just clean this off. So I've got my oven preheated to 325 degrees. And I've got 2 sheet trays that I have lined with parchment paper. All right. So I'm going to use a small scoop to scoop these, and I'm going to show you kind of the difference. So this is your regular ice cream scoop size. I use this for cupcakes. It works great, so that way all my cupcakes are filled the same. This is what I consider the medium scoop, and this is good for cookies if you want them just a little bit bigger of a cookie, so you can kind of see the size difference. And then this is the small scoop. So this is the scoop that I'm going to be using today, so you can kind of see the difference. And you can get these, I got these off Amazon, but you could find them in your restaurant supply stores if you have one in your area that allows the public to come in. So the small disher is the one that I'm going to be using. And the reason I'm using the small one is because these cookies are going to be covered in powdered sugar. So I want these to be bite size so that when someone takes a cookie, they're not getting powdered sugar all over their clothes. So they can just, the cookie's small enough, they can pop the whole cookie in their mouth and avoid all of that powdered sugar on their clothes. I'm just going to scoop these up. So basically you just want them to where it's, the scoop is full, but it's even, it's not mounded over. So I'm just gonna drop that on there. And on my sheet tray, I can get 2 dozen. So I'm gonna go 4 across and then 6 down. And that will give me 2 dozen cookies on this sheet. They're not gonna spread much at all. I mean, they will a little bit, but not like a chocolate chip cookie. They're not going to spread like that. So, all right. So these are going to bake for 12 minutes. I have a convection setting, so with that, I can actually bake 2 trays at once without fearing that they're going to burn. So, but 12 minutes, I'm just going to lightly tap these. You don't want to smash them like with a cup. Just lightly smash them down. So just ever so gently, just like that. All right, 12 minutes in the oven at 325 degrees. I'm going to finish up scooping the rest of these out and get them baked. And I'll show you how we finish them up. Something about saving the lemon Kool-Aid for later. So in a gallon size Ziploc bag, I've got 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. It's unsifted. You don't need to sift it for this process. So I'm going to take the remainder amount of the lemon and just dump it in there. And then we're just going to give it kind of a mix, kind of mix it in with the powdered sugar. And then we're gonna take these cookies. We're not gonna put all of them in there at once, but we'll put, you know, 8 to 10 or so in there. If you put them in when they're too warm, they're going to break very easily. They even, for whatever reason, they still are super warm in the center, so sometimes they'll like cave in. It's easy to put your finger into it because they're so soft. So just 2 minutes tops, just to let them cool down a little bit. And then I'm just going to gently take it and just let them kind of fall and get covered in the powdered sugar. And then I'm just gonna kind of take them and shake them off a bit. You don't want them covered too much in powdered sugar, otherwise it just goes everywhere. So just give it a good toss to get the excess off of there. And you want to move fairly quickly with this, just so that you get all of your cookies dusted. So just do the next bag. The last 4 in there. And when I was done, I did get 4 dozen cookies, and actually I got just about 4 extra. So if you factor this recipe as, you know, a 4 dozen net for the small scoop, that'll give you, you know, a good amount depending on what you're using them for. So, and those few extra just depends on how, you know, full you make your scoops when you're scooping it out. So, and then obviously if you use a bigger scoop, you're going to get less cookies. So, all right. And then you can see we have very little waste of powdered sugar. There's maybe less than 1/4 cup there, so that's good. All right, so I did mention the cherry coolers. So the cherries are made exactly the same as the lemon. I just used cherry Kool-Aid instead of the lemon. So everything else is exactly the same. But you can see they have just a little bit of a pink color underneath, so you can tell which ones are which. And then we're just gonna stack a few of these up here. As neatly as we can, because, you know, powdered sugar just goes everywhere. So, all right, and there we have lemon cooler cookies and cherry cooler cookies. Great for any time, holidays, summertime. Just make them in bite size, so with all that powdered sugar, you're not wearing the powdered sugar for the rest of your event. So I hope you enjoy.